Dependency injection is a technique for achieving loose coupling between objects and their collaborators or dependencies. Rather than directly initiating collaborators or using static references, the objects a class needs in order to perform its actions are provided in the class in some fashion. So when classes are designed with dependency injection in mind, they're loosely coupled because they do not have direct hard-coded dependencies with their collaborators. In this lecture, we are going to initiate dependency injection inside of our startup.ces configure services method by implementing our own interface and then associating a type of class with that interface. And there's 3 different lifetime models that we can associate with a service, and we will look at those as we inject our own type service in our ASP.NET Core application. So right here, as you can see, we've already injected some services into our application in the configure services method by adding MVC. And then inside of the configure method, we implemented the request pipeline associated with MVC. So typically this is where you're going to add your own types and inject them as services in your ASP.NET Core application. So let's go over here, let's go to our course project, let's click add. We're going to create a new folder and we're going to name this services. And inside of service, I'm going to click add, new item. And I'm going to go to .NET Core, and I'm just going to initiate an interface. So let's go over here to interface, and let's name this interface I, which is a typical naming convention, my injected service. Let's click add, and once we do that, we have our own interface right here set up. So we're going to initiate this interface, and then we're going to implement our own class to associate with this. So let's come over here, and let's put public. And then under this, we're going to initiate this interface. Now typically you would separate these two, but we're going to put it in the same CS file. So let's do public class my injected service, and it's going to inherit from my injected service. I'm going to open and close the brackets right there. And there we go. So we're going to come up here and we're going to put GUID, my GUID. And then we're going to do a getter and setter. So once we have that right there, now we can come into our interface and we can implement that same property here. Let's type prop tab, and let's make this a GUID type. Let's name it the same as the my GUID up here. So we've implemented that property associated with our interface. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to just inject inside of our constructor here. You can come over here and type CTOR tab, and we got our associated constructor right there, and we can say this dot my GUID, and we're just going to generate a GUID dot new GUID. We're going to associate this GUID to my GUID from my injected service. Every time we run the lifetime modes for the service being injected, we'll see how this is being implemented inside of our web page. So once we have that set up, let's go to our startup.cs and let's go to our services right here. And let's inject our service. So we're going to say services dot, and we're going to add a singleton. And what we're going to do here is we're going to put my injected service, and then we're going to associate that type to this right here, which is going to be my injected service. So then we're going to put that there, close that out, and then we're going to come down here and we're going to import that. So using course project.services, we're going to save that, and then we're going to close this out right here as a method. Once we have that, what are we implementing here? You notice that it adds the singleton method of the iService collection to register my service class as a service type. The name suggests that add singleton registers my service in a singleton mode. So what is a singleton mode? It's an object of a service that is created and supplied to all requests to that service. So basically all the requests gets the same object to work with. So this is associated with adding the singleton method. So how would we implement this? So now that we've injected our service, let's go to my controller over here, my home controller. We're going to create a private variable associated with the myInjectedService.cs. So let's go over here. Let's say private my service, and we're going to name this my service. We're going to come down here and say CTOR tab, and then we're going to associate a parameter associated with the interface object here and set that inside of our constructor. So let's just copy this, and then inside of that we can say this dot my service equals my service. And right there, you can see that we have that injected inside of our home controller. Now what we can do is we can go over here and we can go to the index view right here, and we can create a view bag. A view bag is just a temporary holder inside of our page. As you can come down here and it creates a view bag, so we can associate that. We can say view bag my object equals this dot my service. And right there, we are injected into the index view, this view bag object right here. So now let me go to my view right here. Then we come down into our index view. So let's come in here, let's put a paragraph tag, and then let's type at view bag dot, and then we're going to associate the object name, which is my object. And then we're going to put that right there. What we want to do here, we want to associate the property on the myInjectedServices, which is my GUID. So now we want to come in here and type dot my GUID. So that's going to be associated with the property right there. So that's one thing we have to consider when we're running this. Let's view that in browser, and let's see the value that we return to associate right there. And we're associating a GUID type inside of our home controller. So this is being injected through our startup.cs file in the configure services. If we refresh this, we get the same value right there. So this is utilizing what inside of our startup.cs? We're doing add singleton, right? So now let's go back and let's change this. We want to change this to add scoped. So let's go over here. So now that we have this to add scope, let's go over here and refresh our browser. You see it change right away? Let's refresh it. Every time it's changing through each request. So this tells you right here that when you have an add scope, it's making the change to run the application again. This simulates multiple requests as before. This time you'll find each tab displays a different GUID type. So now we're going to come in here and we're going to change this to one more type, which is a transient. So here we save this. Let's refresh it. Right there, you see it? It changes each time with transient as well. These are the different lifetime modes for a service being injected in our ASP.NET Core application. Remember, a singleton is an object of a service is created to supply all the requests to that service. Basically runs all the requests to get the same object to work. Scoped is an object of service is created for each and every request. So each request gets a new instance of the service to work. Transient is an object of a service is created every time an object is requested. These are the three lifetime modes you can associate in your ASP.NET Core application. We created our own service right here that's implementing myInjectedService. It's associating a GUID, my GUID property, and then we're implementing that interface with the myInjectedService, associating the identifier for the myGUID property, passing to the constructor myGUID, and initiating a new GUID for that property. Then we're coming to our home controller right here. We are setting up an instance of the myInjectedService, my service. We're passing that my service to a constructor, passing that parameter in the constructor and setting it, and then passing a view bag object and setting it to my service. Then we're coming to our view inside of a paragraph tag, a view bag of my object dot my GUID, which matches the property associated on the myInjectedService interface. So this is how we implement dependency injection. If you're a little confused at this time, don't worry about it. When we start building our application, one of the functionalities that we'll have inside of this, we will create an injected service associated with sending an email. It will make more sense when we start implementing practical scenarios of utilizing dependency injection. Another big part of dependency injection is injecting our Entity Framework core service to associate with our SQL Server database. And also when we associate it on Mac OS X, we'll implement our Entity Framework core context and add it to our configure services. So this is dependency injection in ASP.NET Core.